Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you? It is Thursday night, and I've got, I guess you guys were all over the country at this point. I've got my normal co host, Scott Fishman, is here from TV Insider via Florida. Hi, Scott.
Yep.
How are
How's it
you?
going tonight? Hi, guys.
And our special guest is Daryl, other than Mr. Starks from Covalent TV Media. How are you?
I am blessed. It is your boy, Mr. Starks. You either know me, love me, hate me. I don't care. Either way it goes, you would go get ice cream with me or your mama will.
I'll get ice cream.
Mr. Starks, no relation to Ricky Starks, though, right?
No. In correction, Saints, you mean. So he's no longer sharing.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
He's no longer sharing the name.
Starks and Mr. Saints. You're not. Okay.
And Mr. Saints.
Now, let's clarify the reason you have this cool bat. You are in Chicago.
Yes. Born and raised in the beautiful city of Chicago. Absolutely.
And so when, just quickly, when did you get involved in doing media for pro wrestling?
Well, it's been about 6 years ago, now. So started in 2019 with Covalent TV. Everything has been great with it. But I've loved professional wrestling my whole life. So there you have it.
And Scott, were you a lifer too about pro wrestling growing up?
I would say not 100%. I remember, I don't remember a lot of this, but I've been told my grandfather would watch the shows, and then I would, as a baby, he would watch with me, and then I kind of fell out of it, didn't really think much of it, and was one of those, oh, this is fake, what are you guys watching, to my friends. And then I got invited over to watch a pay-per-view, and then I got hooked from that, and that was 95, 96, which you guys know that's one of the best times to get really invested in pro wrestling, because it become one of the hottest periods that we always reflect back to. So I guess I was lucky in that sense. But yeah, ever since got hooked on that. So,
well, let's just set the stage here. So Daryl, Mr. Starks, and I were literally sitting one seat apart at AEW Revolution this past Sunday. Revolution was here in LA, which there's rarely any AEW major paper. I mean, this was a good thing for me because usually there's not a lot of, there hasn't been, there's been a few, but this is the first time I went as media to an AEW event in LA. And we were seated on the very, I consider it the floor, kind of.
Yeah, we could hear Jack Nicholson having a drink.
Right. So let me show you, let me kind of show everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, show me where you guys are. I can't believe you guys are media, and they're putting.
I am right there, and I remember looking over to Daryl, Mr. Starks, and I'm like, "Are you seeing this okay?" And I kept trying to look through the crane. Now, one thing that was, if you kind of think is cool, we could literally see what the two shots were doing. We could see the big screen and we could see the close up, right, Daryl? I thought,
yeah.
But it was weird because we were on the bottom. I think if we would have been 3 rows up, right? I got there early, which is why I think I ended up in the low.
Do you think there was others that were in different spots through the arena? I mean, usually they sit everybody together if you're media, no?
Well, they were all in the same area, but we were on the very bottom to the left. So it was ring ramp, right? And all that. I think I'll show you. This might.
It looks like you dropped the phone or something when the
pyro looked like it scared the hell out of him.
Was there an earthquake at that point? I don't know.
Scared the hell out of me. Number 2, you gotta realize, I'm short, Scott. So when I'm trying to look, I can't get the angles with the, there's the cranes and the this and the that. What did you think about where we were sitting, Mr. Starks?
When it comes to being seated at a certain place, especially a place like that, it was an opportunity to still get some good shots. But when that crane came over, it was like, damn it.
Scott, and I'm like, he's like, where are you sitting? I go, here.
I can't believe. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get the thought process. I mean, usually, I get, there's not always a press box, but usually, when you're like an elevated spot, a decent spot. I mean, I'm not sure you guys aren't asking. Oh, I don't want to be like, I don't need to be front row, but if you're media, you're covering it, you're supposedly reporting on it, you're analyzing it, you're going to use content. Why put you in a spot where it's going to be hard to see? I just the logic of that, I'm just not. I don't get that. Unless
so most of my videos, and I'll show you a few more through the night, through the show. But that's what I was kind of dealing with, like trying to get it around and going around because we had the crane or the pyro, which like I don't remember. I felt like I was in the pyro, Mr. Starks.
Yeah, when those flames came up, it definitely felt like the fiery pits of where. So
right,
yeah, it was a good time.
Have you ever been that close, Scott, where like the fire is like you feel the heat of the pyro? Like that's what we were feeling.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've been in that spot before, but yeah, you guys. There was a lot of pyro in AEW more than. It's interesting because WWE doesn't all the time when they doesn't do it very much when they're kicking off shows and things like they used to do back in the day. So AEW seems to be doing that a little bit more in that sense.
So I want to talk to you guys about what you thought of Revolution and the show. Scott, what was your overall takeaway? I obviously we're going to get to that the Moxley match was the real clunker in the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think overall, I mean, it's just an exhausting night. Like when you go to an AEW show, you need to pack a lunch, a breakfast, a dinner. I don't know. You need a 3-course meal because you're getting a lot of matches and a lot of wrestling, and then you guys do the press conference after. So God bless on that sense. At least it was on the West Coast, so it wasn't 2:00 in the morning like normal. But AEW, one thing that they do great is pay-per-view. I mean, the matches, they always give you your money's worth. That's not been a problem. The show moves along fairly well. But it did remind me a little bit of an old WCW show back in the day when you had that main event that just like kills everything. And then I always think of it like a movie. Like if the movie's ending is bad, you're really going to have a different thought about how the movie was. And then that's unfortunate because you have all these wrestlers doing all these great things and putting forth such great effort, putting on a show, delivering it for the fans. And then you have the last match where it just leaves you disappointed. So that's unfortunate. So that's kind of like the sum of the parts when it comes to this show, I think.
I thought the show was the whole really great. And then I thought as a whole, it was one of their better pay-per-views in recent memory to me. And then there was the clunk ending where I think, Mr. Starks, we were in the press conference when the question was asked about, you had 4 big matches at the end.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with Moxley? And he could have switched any of them out. What did you think at the end of the day about the decision to end with Moxley?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm glad you were able to grow your eyebrows back before we did this review because that fire could have burned them off. And I'm glad you made a full recovery. You made a full recovery.
He does get injured at wrestling shows.
So. I get injured. You don't understand, Daryl. I get injured at wrestling shows.
Do you?
I broke my nose at WrestleMania 40 in the press room. I fell.
How?
I was, in the press box. There were these rows, like they're up and down. So I went to get an iced tea. I come back. I missed the step to go back to my row. I went flying, and my nose hit the metal chair.
Ooh!
And it was on night 1 of WrestleMania 40.
Oh man!
And they had to take me out in a wheelchair.
Oh.
To the medic tent at the arena, at the stadium, and then they made an announcement. The WWE made an announcement like, "Journalists, please watch where you're walking."
Oh no! Well, that was an eventful night. That was an eventful night.
To your point, I was really worried. It really made. I was like, "This pyro is going to go up in my face." Like, no.
I'm more worried about the Goldberg sparks when they start flying because I don't know if you know how bad that can end up if it hits your skin, but that can get ugly.
I don't know how he did that every night.
I don't know how he did that. And to your guy's point, I'm amazed at the wrestlers. Do you think they're just so used to it? Because it could go wrong.
Yeah.
It could go wrong.
We've seen it go wrong.
I mean, there's a lot of trust there for sure in the pyrotechnics.
No, but I'm just glad Mike is in Two-Face Harvey Dent coming on to this review. He's alive, he's well. But let me get to my Revolution take. I'm sorry. I had to kick off with a couple jokes.
No, it was so great. Yeah, I cannot tell you, having you there was so great because I'd look at you like, what the hell is going on? You know, like, I don't know. And before you give your review, I want to say, do you remember, and Scott, I don't know if you realize this from watching it, we were very puzzled, me and Mr. Starks, on what this crowd was very weird. Like, I thought they were like half in it, half asleep, not there. We had guys behind us just like trashing the whole thing in the press area. So I was like literally shitting on the whole thing. Right?
So, Mike, I made you a promise. I promised I would explain Fed Walker lore to you and what it meant. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you both and Scott, have you seen the movie Blade?
It's been a while.
Okay. But you remember what the other vampires were called, that what Blade is, correct? What is he called?
Not remembering. Sorry.
Oh, got you puzzled. Okay, I got you. He was called a Daywalker. The reason why was because obviously he was one of the few vampires that could walk into the light. He can act normal. He could just be a normal person, right? So Fed Walkers is basically people that they predominantly consume WWE, and that is all that they love and know and they grew up with. And they go to other wrestling shows with every intent to do some type of weird form of sabotage because they blend in with all of the other people that have seen the light. So, Mike, there's that explanation I promised you.
I love that. I just don't understand it. Like, I get, if you're getting paid for it, more power to you. But I still, I bet, there's these people on X that just, they make money off of trashing AEW, and then they dare to say that, the criticism is like, they're not doing anything wrong, but it literally in the title, it says death of AEW, but they don't realize doing that will damage the other companies as well, because it's all an ecosystem here. Like, you see a lot of the talent on the show, and they've been given a second chance or a third chance, and really given an opportunity to show what they can really do, and given that canvas. And, without an AEW, you can't say, if that would have happened. So yeah, carry on though. I love that. I love that analogy. That was great.
And to your point, and Daryl. So just to your point, remember when Mercedes Moné was wrestling?
Oh yeah, they can't stand
each other. Scott, like the crowd was dead, and it was Mercedes Moné, and it followed a really great match.
Yeah, but that, I think the problem with that is just they like putting this international talent on, which is great because you're going to get a good match.
Nobody knows them.
There's no investment in these. They assume that people know this talent, and you're going to put, like, even last night on Dynamite, we're going to get to it, I'm sure, but you have a lot of these luchador talents that are amazing, and who they do great job in matches and things like that. But when you're having that match with Orange Cassidy, and then it just kind of is a disconnect for fans because you don't have a connection to them. And they assume that they're going to be connected just because it's Mercedes Moné in a match. So, I don't get it, but, they haven't kind of figured that out yet or whatnot. But
okay, so Daryl, is it an LA thing, you think?
I mean, to me, those crowds, once PWG went away, they kind of had nowhere else to look because their indie scene is not on top of the game right now. So they go back for what they know. I mean, you got to look at it like that. They're going back for what they know. And what do they know primarily? What do most people know primarily in this country? But like WWE. And to just offer a little bit of a retort to the Mercedes point you had, Scott, I understand that you may not understand the person she's wrestling. It's not an investment there, but that's also not a reason to hurl like racial epithets towards her just because she left a company that you know and you love and you grew up on. That's no reason to treat a person that way. Not saying your point is wrong, but
well, that was happening they were actually
yes,
that's really bad.
Yes, and I'm saying the thing that was so puzzling to me was I looked at Daryl and I'm like, is this the press yelling or who's yelling?
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Awful. It was constant through the whole thing. When they didn't like something during the night, they were very loud and vocal, and it was in our section.
Mm-hmm.
which
that's
was
unfortunate. I mean, because there's one thing, I mean, there's a level, and you know, you could be critical and not be a fan of someone, but still kind of maintain some sort of, you know, humanism or humanity here. With, I can imagine being with these wrestlers and seeing what's in their DMs and what's in their comments and things like that. I mean, we obviously haven't learned from the past and what happened to.
Well, you'll also see in the ring, and I think you've all seen this. You know, when the crowd is not with them, you can see the wrestler trying to rev them up to get them into the match.
Yeah, whether it's a clap or whatever. Yeah,
come on, you know, win.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and I can only say from myself, because I sing, and when I sing and perform, I know what that's like to be up there and there's like a dead crowd, and you want them to go. It's kind of an awful feeling. So they're trying to work the crowd up. I don't know. I really appreciate what they have to do, like that they're doing that, because it's a really awful feeling when you're in front of a dead crowd.
Well, I'm not going to, you know, make this the sole reason, but one thing I think AEW does is they have these pre-shows that are just, you know, they have so many matches on it and everything like that. And that, you know, that's when they're their hottest, is when they're seeing new, you know, the action for the first time. So it's almost hurting the main card by having these matches out there just for the sake of having matches. And then by the time it gets to the main card, you're already, you know, exhausting a lot of your energy. And then, you know, you're having these long show on top of that. So I like the idea that WWE has gotten rid of the pre-show matches and kind of just went right to the, you know, the first time you're going to see this action is on the show. That's what I think anyway. I don't know about you guys, but
Jonathan says best wrestling review show is Kovalent TV. You
know, much love, John. Appreciate you, man. You already know what's going on, man. That's one of our truth seekers over there, man. Shouts out to you, John. We appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by our show tonight and checking it out. Thank you.
Show love, man. You know, Mike, he's gonna sing "How Deep Is Your Love" by the Bee Gees to you and everything. I see
eyebrows and all
in the morning sun. I feel you touch me. No, but
you gotta do a collaboration, it seems.
A collab. 1 second. So
I love that. Great.
I didn't realize how bad it was until that moment. It was so awesome, though.
We were dying. Remember, we were like, wait, that's Leslie Jones. And then I was trying to figure out, do you think she was like friends with Swerve?
I think she just came on the strength, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think she just came on the strength.
I don't know who brought her in, or if she's just a fan. I know, maybe Mercedes knows people in Hollywood now. So I was jealous of y'all because I wanted you to stop her and say, hey, are you going to do another season of Supermarket Sweep? I mean, I'm a big fan.
Shouts out Supermarket Sweep. Yeah,
I just missed that show.
Shout out to Supermarket Sweep. She walked right by us, Scott. And she walked right by to go to the back. And when they came back out, it's like they had food. So I said to Daryl, oh, they must be at the craft service, like wherever. And she came back out to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see the photo with her in the Hurt Business?
Yes, I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
It was dope.
That one. Hold on. I wanted to show you. that was one of the best moments when they went up on the roof.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So
I love his music. It's just
the music, his music is my favorite. And I said to Daryl, I said, Will's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's the franchise. Yeah, he's the franchise player. That's who you need to, that's one of the guys that you got to build your company around for sure.
So what did you guys think of MJF and Hangman's match? Is it not even memorable compared to everything else?
I wouldn't say that. I think it told the story that it needed to tell, and I feel like they're putting a pin in it as they should, because that was like a staple of AEW early on. Was that like, hey, we have all these homegrown guys, but we're gonna put a pin in doing feuds with them until we built the company up a little more. You saw a lot of that last year. 2023, they kind of got away from it, but I like that they did this and kind of put a pin in it, if that makes any sense, because I think when those two guys get back together, the intensity is kind of going to be like how it was with Hangman going against Swerve. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the future. So I thought mission accomplished, in my opinion. I thought they accomplished the mission there. They completed the assignment, as I like to say.
I was glad to see that Hangman got the win and it wasn't MJF, because I was thinking they were going to give MJF the win. And my question also, Scott, to you when you answer this is, can we get back to Hangman the good guy, the one I originally liked? Because I was a big Hangman Adam Page the good guy who was the AWA champ that no one else liked. I was on my own island, and I really liked the original when he was the champ.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that was hurting Hangman, is they were having him be this crazy lunatic guy, and he's not, like, the fans just want to love on Hangman. He just has this likability. The fans always want to get behind him. He's this homegrown talent that you really should cultivate and try to not step away from. And it's one thing AEW has done in the past to their detriment is kind of just not feeling, taking a look at the product, seeing how the fans are reacting. I'm not saying like do everything that the fans say, but kind of see that this is their guy. And, it took them a while to actually pull the trigger with him to win the championship. I actually feel like a Hangman should have been the first AEW world champion, not Chris Jericho, but that's here nor there. But I agree with Daryl. This felt like just another chapter in what's going to be like a long-term story that's going to be threaded through, in the future. We saw a little bit more of that
last night.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're going to have an Inferno match one day. I mean, he's trying to light each other on fire. I don't know what's going on. So, I think that's might be in the cards. This is AEW, for the sickos, but it did its job. It didn't have, will every moment be memorable? We have, MJF using his junk as a weapon. That's big. That went viral on social media. So maybe we'll remember that part, but yeah, it was great though that Hangman got that win. I feel like he needed it in that sense. And now it's going to make MJF that much crazier that he's going to want that win back.
And I want to say, watching it live, you guys, I really appreciated what I could see through the crane. I really appreciated Hangman's athleticism. He's crazy athletic. Like those,
he is.
I mean, you got to give him credit for that. Like for a big guy, he can do the buckshot lariat and all the stuff. He lands them. They're like perfect.
No, he's smooth. Very smooth.
So would you like to see Hangman complete babyface again, Daryl?
See, that island you were talking about that you were on your own, right? Yeah, I was monitoring that island to make sure you didn't get off. No, I do agree with the fact that the crowd wants to love him. It just seems like Tony Khan didn't have the proper direction to push him in that light. And once he finally found that direction under that spotlight that he always needed to be under, it's kind of been off to the races ever since. So in a way, he kind of has Swerve to thank for that. He really just needed a good heel to play off of to get that baby face in him to come out properly. And then, the whole thing with Christopher Daniels, it was like a perfect recipe that led up to this version of Hangman. So, Mike, I'm sorry you had to be very patient with that. You had to sit through the butterfly jeans, the Young Buck stuff. You had to sit through all of that.
I want substitute teacher Hangman Page. We're going all the way back to Ring of Honor days.
Thank you, Scott Fisher.
He's on the way. He's on the way, though.
I meant the wholesome content. I wanted
wholesome Hangman. I did. I wanted wholesome school teacher. And now I'm like pyro guy. So, and then we had Swerve and Ricochet.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about there. First of all, what did you think of the match, Scott?
I mean, you knew we were going to get a great match between these two, but I think just the fact that had such a great story going in, and Ricochet has found himself. Like, this is one of the examples I was talking about when it comes to people. Like, if there was no WWE, I'm sorry, no AEW right now, what would have happened to Ricochet in that sense? Like, he wasn't content where he was at. And, everyone can have their own opinions, but he's his own man. It's his own life, his own career. And he wanted to, make it his own. He went here. And at first, you weren't sure what was going to happen with him and how it was going to work out. But it seems that he found himself, his pocket that is, with the suit and the backwards hat and the weird, Moana type, Maui type yell there. But, all the pieces are fitting together. And I think that really has been great. And Swerve, has already gotten the fans behind him. He's already developed that. He's much like a Hangman. The fans gravitate toward him. And if AEW was smart, it's kind of, you got to lean on these guys, lean on the ones that have been there putting in the work and that have that connection to the audience, because those are your franchise players and building around. And I think, AEW kind of realizes that. I love the story with Prince Nana and the robe and everything behind it. And what a unsung hero though Prince Nana is. Like, he does such a great job as the corner man for Swerve and helping thread that story. And I love seeing him involved in the match as well. So overall, just tremendous.
It was great. Before Mr. Starks weighs in, I remember leaning over to Daryl and saying, "This is what's going to happen. Nana's going to swerve." Swerve. And I was half right. He did walk out on him. Mm-hmm. I had in my head, this was going to be the night there was the turn. Nana was going to turn on Swerve and then maybe align himself even with Ricochet, like something awful like that, to really stick it to Swerve, since Swerve's the fan favorite. So when he walked out, I'm like, I'm right. And then it was a setup anyways. But I did say that to Daryl.
You did. Just to give my opinion on this one, it was physical. It told the story. The wrestling was absolutely amazing in this matchup. I feel like Ricochet, or as I call him on our show, Richard O'Shea, he's maximizing his minutes right now. He is truly maximizing everything he does. Like, as soon as that camera gets in front of him, that microphone gets in front of him now, he's just being that so hateable prick that everybody didn't even know he had that club in the bag. Everybody's like, whoa, where did this come from, right? And then Swerve is just being Swerve. This talent that Swerve has always been there. If you followed him through the indies all the way up to, going to WWE, wasted him. Up until now, you knew the talent was always there. That was never a question. It just took for somebody to believe in him. So,
I was going to say to your point, it's almost like Swerve, who was doing pretty awful things before, like they were still rooting for him. They wanted to root for him, even when he was bad.
Burning people's houses, yeah.
He was a bad guy. And to Ricochet, I mean, I think Ricochet is one of the most amazing wrestlers to watch in the ring. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I love that he got the chance to be this, hated jackass guy. Do you think it'll last, or can they turn him back?
Inevitably, the crowd is going to want to cheer for him again.
I agree. No, Scott?
Because he's going to become from unlikable to likable very soon. Because now, if you listen closely at every arena they're going to, as soon as he's doing everybody's doing it with him now.
Oh, I hate that.
Well, then that's up to Ricochet to kind of quell that some other way. Do his. I feel like there's so much left in the tank with him having this heel run that
Agreed.
I hope it doesn't. They don't rush to turn him back, because it would just do some damage. And then I'm looking forward to. I feel like we only scratched the surface of what we've been seeing, and he's like finally starting to be like, okay, this is what's working. And maybe it's the social media Ricochet we needed from, how he is with people online. Maybe he's just taking that and bringing it to the forefront on screen too. So.
And wait, hold on. One thing, we're missing a wild card. We're missing a lifeline to extend this heel thing. If he brings Samantha into the fold and she's walking out there with him, healing it up, and Pardon my non-PG-ness, and he's like smacking her on the booty and all that stuff. Oh, that's gonna get the crowd hot.
Or just treating her badly. I mean, he could also
her badly. Yeah, I
yeah.
think or bringing her out as a valet.
But he has the girl that everyone wants.
Yeah.
So that alone is going to extend his heel run if she comes into the fold. Like
and
that alone.
Yeah, and she's always talked about wanting to do more than just being a ring announcer. This is
that's right. This is the chance. I have. Do you know this person? Parazim Await here.
Parazim Await, say here from Covalent TV. Yeah, shouts out to you, man. Shouts out to you. I never noticed that was a Muhammad Ali avatar.
It is. It's a
shouts out to the greatest, man.
Yes, Leslie Jones was amazing. We were dying of laughter, and we couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
No.
Tony Khan needs to sign her. You know, we're talking about the Costco guys. Let's get Leslie Jones.
Oh, the Costco guys.
He damn near jumped over the barricade about 2 or 3 times.
Guys, I wanted to please stop. Please stop. All right. So we get to let's just get to Will and Kyle Fletcher. I thought that was an amazing match. This is them up at the cage, and then he had the screwdriver, and then he threw it down, and then they did that move off the dive off the cage.
Yeah, the Spanish Fly. Yeah,
Spanish Fly, looking at you, going, "Oh my god!" And I was trying to tape it, and I did tape it. Through the crane.
Yeah, he did hit us with
videotaped it with his camcorder
on my phone with through the crane.
You want to tell us about your VCR that you got to play this tape that you recorded?
Did you record over watching this show?
Oh man!
I brought my computer and my VCR and my D2 film. So what did you guys think? I thought it was phenomenal. I literally thought that match was insane. I thought they were great. I just think Will Ospreay is the best, and I was so glad. I remember saying to Daryl also, I'm like, I don't get it. Why is Will Ospreay and this was coming after the last match, which we'll talk about. Like, why is Will Ospreay not getting a push to go for the AEW championship? It's time. It's like he should be the champ, in my opinion. All right, Scott.
I saw this match in January at the first pay-per-view of the year in AEW in Orlando, and that one was, they've had such great chemistry together. And Kyle Fletcher, I think, has been elevated so much by working with Will Ospreay on this side of things, and he completely has transformed his look, his appearance, his presence, all of it. And I think, it's a testament to him, but also Will Ospreay taking him and making that star. And that's one of the great things that greats do, is bring others up to your level, and iron sharpens iron. And I think that's what we saw in this cage match between the two of them. And just, Will Ospreay is must-see TV when it comes to, especially on pay-per-view, and especially in a one-on-one setting and in this sort of environment where he could just go balls to the wall and just do that. Oh my God, that Spanish Fly off the cage, just insane. The fact that he doesn't get injured more is just, it's a miracle in itself, but it just shows you how good and professional he is that, that hasn't happened. But I think even in defeat, Kyle Fletcher's still continuing to grow as a performer, and having a Will Ospreay is doing that. I'm glad they didn't rush to give him the championship, but definitely there's a lot of people that are in the pathway of Jon Moxley coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about, but that's definitely one.
To me, it was just like, yeah. And to me, it was like, I'm so glad they had that last night on Dynamite, when I didn't love the whole promo and the talk, but I did love the fact that he is basically saying at All In, I'm going for the champ, so hopefully he will get his shot, because I just think he's the best talent there right now. Okay, Mr. Starks.
Here I am. Okay. All right, so Kyle Fletcher, man, I got the opportunity to speak with him at WrestleCade back in November. Shouts out to the good people at WrestleCade. And he said to me, wrestling Will Ospreay is easy because, when someone knows you that well, it's easy. It's elementary. It's not even like wrestling. It's just just going into a room and just play fighting with a friend, basically. So while this didn't surprise me that it was as great as it was, and you notice I'm not saying good because it was great. It didn't shock me at all. It really didn't. Even the perfect execution of every move, the Spanish Fly, the cadence, the selling, the psychology, everything played out the way that it was supposed to in this match. And it's due to those two guys knowing each other so well that they probably could have put 2 blindfolds on and still wrestled that same match.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
Yeah. No, and I wasn't surprised by anything. It was just like, it's kind of electric being there for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always feel it when he's even on TV, to Scott's point, that opening, his theme music is the best. His opening is the best in AEW by far.
And then one thing that people don't appreciate about Will Ospreay enough is, like you were talking about, that, you know, he could tell a story. There is some psychology in there and storytelling and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in this match, you could feel these are two former friends, like, beating the crap out of each other. And maybe Will doesn't want to do it, but, you know, he's gotten to this point where it's just like no turning back. And Kyle wants to prove that he's more than just, you know, in the shadows of Will Ospreay. And that kind of shined through as well in this match, I think.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the Cactus Jack spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That was a good one. I loved when he did that because it worked within the match. That's the key to a great match. Does it work within the confines of the match? If you're just doing stuff just to do stuff, it'll never look good. I don't care who you are. But Will Ospreay just has this sense of timing in that ring that you don't really see that often because it's such a rare trait. So salute to Will Ospreay, and Kyle Fletcher's on his way, man. He really is.
And to your point, I agree. It's the timing, like these guys that have this incredible timing in the ring, not only with the moves, but just the way they can tell a story. And also, that's when I'll get to Roman Reigns later. But, you know, when the cameras go on them and you get their reaction where they can still do their shot in the camera, they can still do the move, and they're still telling the story, right? Mm-hmm. Within the confines of this match. And you don't ever feel like you're losing the story within the match.
Nope. You got it. You got it.
Okay. All right. So then we have
puberty.
We have speaking of puberty, and here comes Toni Storm.
Right.
VCR tapes and puberty. We're going backwards. Is that Benjamin Button, the movie, or what's the reverse? We have Toni Storm.
Oh
my
man.
gosh.
Oh
and,
man.
And the Glamour, Mariah May.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really amazing. And they literally go at each other. I did and that was just one of the things. I thought it was the best. So Scott, what did you think of the blood, the story?
Yeah. Well, the bar was definitely high for these two, considering the last 2 times that they've met. And when you're giving something some sort of finality in a feud, you know, you don't always, 9 times out of 10, you don't get the payoff that it's going to have that you want. And like we were saying, the opposite of that with the good movie is like you have a good ending. This has good story, good beginning, middle, and then this end, like, just incredible. Just the they kind of went all out on this one, like the physicality. I never seen a women's match go this deep. I mean, we've seen Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. We've seen, you know, All Japan Women, you know, all the ECW. I don't know what, you know, women, WWE, TNA. That was next level what they put together, because not just for the hardcore for the sake of hardcore. This was something like, so often they have these heated feuds and they're starting with like wrestling holds on some of these matches that you're like, why aren't they just starting out beating the living crap? Like, they're supposed to hate each other. And then you see what happened with this one, and little nuances, even from the entrance. I think they did just such a great job right to the end, and how the match ended with basically just her falling on top of her like exhaustion, and just both of them just dead to the world when it comes. And the visuals with the broken glass, and they did that wide shot on the ring.
Oh, so good.
Shout out to production too, because they also are an important part of making sure the story got told properly for the fans and the viewers. And just kudos to them. That was one of the craziest spectacles that, you know, I've ever seen in women's wrestling and beyond. So incredible.
It really, and to your point, you're right. It started off with them just going at each other, right, on the ramp. It didn't start with let's get in the ring and punts around for 20 minutes.
Let's do an arm drag here and there. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Starks, I thought it was the best of the night, but what's your take?
I said it on my Revolution review that those two ladies raised the bar.
Yeah.
Every woman in the industry needs to be looking at that match going, oh my God, how do we get there? How do we tell that story? How do we deliver like that in the ring, on the ramp, on the stage, outside the stage? How do we deliver at that level? If you are a woman in the industry and you're not looking at that, saying that, you might need to check if you're in the right industry, because I'm sorry, they gave women's wrestling an even more profound pulse just with the existence of that match. You talk about the shots, you talk about everything that Scott talked about, and then just it culminating. Just one simple thing that sealed the deal for everybody at home. The end. It doesn't get better than that.
And I literally looked over at you, Daryl. I was so excited. I went, oh my God, it's
we both looked at each other because I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, and that's why when I went to and I had my one question to Tony Khan my one question, I made it about that because they did really wrap it up in this most incredible way without missing a beat of it.
One thing, Tony Khan gets a lot of crap. A lot of it, we were like, he gets all the hate and everything like that, but you got to give credit where credit's due. This was a vision that he was heavily involved in, and storytelling. He was inspired by the old movies and all the Betty Davis, all that stuff. So kudos to him for having the vision, and kudos to the women that pulled it off too. So got to give him a little shout out too, because, just talking about how this culminated. I would love to, you could literally make a movie I tweeted this last night. You can literally make a movie by putting together all the clips and all the different backstage vignettes and everything. And it would be one hell of a movie, I think, if they did that. So
yeah, they kind of did that on Dynamite, but I would love to see a full-length movie.
I would like to see we need to the whole thing. And then
I was going to say the timing of it is perfect too. It's Women's History Month, but also Queen of the Ring just came out. Mildred Burke, fought so hard to have women's wrestling in general. It was outlawed and illegal in a lot of places, and let alone to have a match like this. I think that was a great way of paying tribute to her and everything that she fought for as well.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you loved it, Scott, because I remember just being there with Daryl going, this is the great. I just thought it was, at first I thought, gratuitous violence, but it all worked.
No, they set the bar. Yeah.
They just set the bar. And then last night she comes out and does this great spot.
It set the bar even higher.
And now she's going to go in a thing with Megan Bain. Like they've already set it up. She comes out and does her thing. And I'm like, I think she's probably one of the best of all time. I
agree.
I really do.
If she could pull Megan Bain to a star-making performance, what is stopping anyone from saying she's one of the greatest of all time? Because you got to think Megan Bain is considered still like a wrestling rookie of sorts. Obviously she's been around, but if she could pull Megan Bain to stardom with a feud and truly turn her into the megasis that she is, what's stopping people from saying she's the greatest? Let's be real.
Do you think that they didn't anticipate Toni Storm, this whole thing being as great as it was because they had Mercedes Moné? She's kind of more lost in this to me than, Tony's the standout. Mercedes is kind of there. And I love Mercedes, by the way.
I feel like Mercedes just hasn't had an opportunity to really dig into a quality story that's long term. It's been kind of a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, into an opponent there, just throwing different opponents at her. But I think it really it'll take a story. Like I thought we were going to get that with Britt Baker, to be honest. And it's unfortunate that it didn't continue, because I thought that was going to be one that would have continued on and been really good to really dig into. And it didn't happen for whatever reason. And it's just been from there. It's just been kind of going here and there and here and here. And it's just been different opponents, but not a story. Now, Athena coming on board with Mercedes now, I think that is what we need to get.
I was going to ask you.
That's going to be the one thing I think that would
that's going to do
it. Right. Is that it? Do you think that'll do it? Is that a feud that you think could have legs for Mercedes?
Yeah. Athena's been stewing. So you got to understand, she's ready for that moment right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane.
It's criminal we don't see enough of her. Like, I get it, Ring of Honor, but let's be honest, so hard to find, and not hard to find, but it's just so much wrestling right now. Watching Ring of Honor all the time religiously is kind of hard. So it would be nice to see her. Well, we've seen Billy Starks now on. I think maybe this will be the catalyst to bring in Athena, because she'll stand up, the history with them. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Before we go off of AEW, I do want to talk about last night, and to Scott's point about, like, I'm a big Orange Cassidy guy, and I was like, why am I watching this match with this guy, the luchador at the end, as the main event? Was confusing to me. And then also the Billy Starks thing, I was like, do I care?
Yeah, I think it's just a means to an end, in my opinion.
It's laying the groundwork. Yeah.
At least that's what we're hoping for here.
Yeah. So I thought it was like a pretty much a paper. Okay, but now let's get to the final match, the Moxley match. Yes, because
that briefcase. God, it's so.
I don't understand the story. Why is he carrying the briefcase?
Listen, I spent almost an hour talking to Jon Moxley trying to understand where he was coming from with this, and I one thing I respect about him is, though, he is very passionate about AEW. He genuinely wants them to succeed and do well, and he's standing behind it, and he believes in the product, and he wants to elevate people. Marina Shafir has been kind of the one bright spot for me, and having her be elevated, and I love the presentation between the two of them.
She wasn't even there.
Yeah, but beyond that, it's just a misfire that just keeps happening and happening. And a lot of people have been comparing this to Retribution, like it's a storyline that people did not get behind and that were so pushed down our throats, but not to the level where the main event, like this is the main event, the main guy, the main championship, and to have a reaction the way that we are reacting, it's just doing more harm than good.
Well, to your point, Scott and Daryl, remember we were there. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, the match was so plodding, so slow, and didn't it come off? Was it Mariah May for what, or Osprey? Who is the one?
Osprey versus Fletcher.
So you came off of Osprey Fletcher, and then this is a plotting match with Edge and Cope and Moxley hitting each other, and it's moving so slow. And I'm like, and somebody said, was it you, Daryl? Somebody said, where are the run-ins? The run-ins haven't happened yet. And then all of a sudden, it was all these stupid run-ins, and I thought
it got a little contrived for sure.
I just hated it.
I heard there was even thought of more run-ins apparently that got turned. I don't know how much truth it is, but I heard there was even more.
The Wheeler Yuta thing is Stockholm Syndrome, which they had on Young and the Restless, by the way. So this is why I know. Stockholm Syndrome, like this guy's abused by the abuser and he can't stop getting himself out of it, Wheeler Yuta. I thought maybe he'd turn on him. They didn't do that. The Jay White thing, I don't even care about Jay White in this story. I don't even know why he's in there. I understand the tie to Cope, but it was just, who cares?
And they blew through the Christian
and then they blew through the Christian thing. And I'm literally going, this is the worst. Okay, Daryl.
No. Okay. Just give me the floor for 1 second, because it is multiple factors that went into this being the absolute cluster, that it was. Okay. So obviously the run-ins were hot garbage, as I like to say, gutter trash, if you shall. And then add in the fact of the matter right now that you told this story that Adam Copeland was going to take out the Death Riders one by one leading up to the match. Fine. Okay, cool. Great story. All right, great. He did exactly that. He's actually a babyface doing what he said, which is something we really don't see in wrestling like that. Okay? You got babyfaces saying they're going to eviscerate someone at a pay-per-view, and we know it's not going to happen. So at least he did that part right. But then, here's why I run into an issue. This match was a victim of match structure, and it was a victim of card placement. The match structure was not set up for this to get the crowd hot. This is a match that would have done so much better probably being before Ospreay Fletcher, and I think more people would have gotten into it. I actually think the ladies should have main evented, if I'm being honest. If I knew they were going to do that, I would have said they needed to main event, especially with the visuals involved. So it was a victim of that. And then card structure, if you're looking at Cope versus Mox, did that have the highest stakes on this card? No. No, even with it being the world title, it didn't have the highest stakes. You know why? Because we haven't seen the world title since Moxley won it, because it's been in a briefcase. So in order for it to be some type of importance, we are visual people. We are human beings. We're visual. We have to see what these two guys are fighting for. In order to feel that sense of allegiance to whatever program is happening in front of us, we need to see what the stakes are. We need to see what the Omaha stakes are. And we didn't see any of that. We just got, hey, here's his match, Mox Cope. The stakes are he wants to take down the Death Riders. They're taking down the company, and he's fighting for the biggest prize in the company. Okay, cool. But when are we going to see the biggest prize in the company?
And to your point, great analogy, perfect analogy, so great. And to your point, they felt this is how they didn't even. It's like, okay, so at the end, after the awful win by Moxley to close the show, we're gonna have Swerve jump off the balcony, jump off the thing because we need a big ending. And it just felt anticlimactic. And who cares? Like, I get what they're doing, setting up Moxley and Swerve, but it just was like it came out of kind of nowhere. And like, all right, that's the end. I just thought we should have gone out of there with Toni Storm and Mariah May thinking this was just the greatest thing ever. We had a Hollywood ending. We're in LA. This was great. I can't believe how great this is. Let's go sing how great Hollywood is and walk out the door. And instead I'm texting Scott going, what the, he's like, what the, I'm like, I couldn't even follow it.
But then what's even hilarious to me, more mind-blowing to me is, I don't know about you guys, but the match that you guys hated, let's do it again in a rematch on Dynamite. I know you paid money to go to the show. I know you paid money to go see this. Let's do it. I know you hated the match. Let's go do it again. I just don't get it.
The whole match, by the way, Daryl, the match, I think that could have been on any Dynamite. It was nothing to me.
And that was what I was going to say next. At least it being on Dynamite and likely in the main event, at least it being on Dynamite, it's not going to fall victim to the card structure. You know what I mean? If that's the only positive light I could draw from it, is that at least it's not going to have to follow it's not going to have to follow Toni Storm, Mariah May, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. Like,
even the Kenny Omega match, people loved Kenny Omega winning. Even that would have been better. I mean, right? Like, there are people more into that.
There were three other things that you could have put in its place. Yes.
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing in January. The only thing that saved it was Adam Copeland coming back with FTR. That was like having that surprise was a nice way of ending the show. But beyond that, it would have been it's the same thing going on with that.
And then the thing that was really weird is, so we went through months of this Christian Cage thing with the contract. He cashes it in this wonky way. And then on Dynamite last night, now Nick Wayne and him now it's falling apart.
There's Stockholm Syndrome again. The same thing going on with
payoff was doo-doo butter. That payoff was terrible.
It was a terrible payoff. And I just remember the life being sucked out of the place.
And you need like AEW needs to hit home runs and then be able to follow up. Like, you can have great pay-per-views, but if your TV is crap going into them or going out of them, then you're in trouble. Like, there were some bright spots of Dynamite, but did it feel like an after pay-per-view show? I don't think so, because again, you're putting these tournament matches on. Like, I like a tournament, but I don't know, after a pay-per-view, I feel like you needed a little bit more. I mean, there were some bright spots for sure, but it just felt like they didn't have a good follow-up to the show either.
So wrapping this up with AEW Dynasty, will Moxley lose the title to Swerve then, so we can get rid of the Moxley thing? Are we going to continue this on till All In?
God.
Tony is putting John Moxley in like the heel furnace right now. He wants that heat to get as high as it can possibly get. Like, I think how pissed off Scott is about Moxley, I think Tony wants that right now. Like, I actually
there's a certain way where it's heat, but then there's also disinterest, and that's what he's getting though. That's the problem. It's not just I hate you for the sake of hate. I'm gonna not watch because of this. That's what I've gotten from people. Like it's funny because I'll tell you real quick. I was coming back from what was the last Royal Rumble. I was in the airport car and I saw someone coming from SummerSlam too. She was a hardcore AEW fan and she went to Royal Rumble just because it's the Royal Rumble. But she goes to all the shows and everything. And even she was talking about how she's being tested as a fan by watching these Death Riders. So for her, a diehard AEW fan that's, loves her product, that's all she watches beyond just the Royal Rumble and WWE occasionally. She watches AEW religiously. And for her, if you're turning off those fans, then you're in trouble. That's what I think.
Yeah, Daryl, do you think, see, I watch the Death Riders, even with the crappy, I have no clue what their problem is. I don't know why they're not the way they are. I don't get it. So am I missing something because I'm like 90 years old and use VHS tapes?
No, I don't think you're missing anything per se, but like, WWE fans love to get into like the ratings and attendance arguments, even though they're not counting that money and they're not counting those seats. But if I'm going to tout something, even though a lot of people didn't like the tournament style Dynamite we just got, didn't the rating for Dynamite go up this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it because they were just intrigued by what happened on the pay-per-view? That's what's going to be the long-term storytelling. What's next week's rating going to be? That's going to tell the story to me.
I mean, but everyone goes, that's a direct indicator of interest.
Right.
Correct? Okay, so I could say the same thing about how WWE didn't follow up the John Cena heel turn properly by having him on Raw or SmackDown the week after Chamber. I could make the same argument. You see what I'm saying?
I actually disagree on that because I think it's building more intrigue by him not being rushed out there because everyone has their theories, what he's going to look like, how they're going to follow up with it, and they're just building it up.
And he is coming, and to your point, Scott, tomorrow he will be on SmackDown.
No, right? He's going to be on Raw.
No, he's going to be in Brussels.
Raw.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Raw. So they gave it some time to settle in. And what I think AEW doesn't do enough of is kind of take these moments and really soak them in and take advantage of, have it breathe a little, have people remember, everything that just happened. They just kept throwing it at us like, hey, did you see what happened with John Cena? And making it even a bigger moment than it really was. And I think AEW doesn't do enough of that either.
Well, that's overexposure without delivery. You understand? Like you can overexpose an angle constantly and go, hey, Cena turned heel, Cena turned heel, Cena turned heel. But like the payoff is we're going to see John Cena in Brussels.
I do think it's unique.
Madison
it's
Square
interesting
Garden,
that it's in Europe.
I do think
Madison Square Garden.
I do think that's odd. Yeah,
like Madison Square Garden, they had Cody come out there and basically be like, here's where he accomplished all of these things, right? Wouldn't it make the most sense for him to appear where he accomplished most of these things?
I thought that was so, you're so spot on. I thought that was so odd. Like you can tell in the writing or how they're plotting the show, like we don't have John tonight, so we're gonna have to have Cody come out and like continue this.
I guess we segued into Raw on accident. I'm sorry, my bad, y'all.
No, that's good. That's good. But
that's good.
I was gonna say that part of me wished that he would have filmed some sort of video of him being in Hollywood.
Yeah, I agree. Even that.
Hey, I'm in Hollywood. I mean, I'm I don't really want to be there because I'm in Hollywood and I'm making movies. The Rock got me hooked up.
I don't have time to talk about what my problem is. Like,
but also the part of me is like I like the mystery and everyone kind of drawing their own kind of visuals of what it's going to be and then delivering. Like you don't have to. For me, it's like you don't have to rush into it. Sort of thing. But
so with that being said, are they building up like this mysterious character like a Bray Wyatt or Undertaker, or are they building up a corporate John Cena?
That's what I think is. Everyone's talking everyone has their theories, and now it's going to build up to this.
You guys,
but it's going to build up at 3:00 in the afternoon. That's the only thing that I'm like, why Brussels of all places?
That's what I'm saying.
I'd rather them wait till they get back to the States, in my opinion.
They're not going to get a better moment to execute on that Cena heel turn and appearance than Madison Square Garden. They're not.
You guys, what's your bet? Is he coming out in black jorts? What is the look going to be? Is it just?
I don't know. People are talking about him shaving his head.
Yo, black jorts is wild.
Black jorts is wild.
We call them blorts. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. Paul Blorts. Um,
I mean, do you think there's going to be it's going to be like like what? Or is it the same goofy outfit? It can't be.
I don't know. Well, there are advertising merchandise in Brussels, and it's very similar to what they've been selling already.
When I think of John Cena, I don't think of the idea of spurning creativity because we've seen him in Fruity Pebble color shirts and dad hats for so many years. So I'm sorry, you have to forgive me. Like I'm being real. I'm being genuine. I don't see John Cena being like this completely different person like everybody else does because like we've seen him do the same thing for over a decade. Like I don't see like this big drastic change that everybody else sees. My apologies.
But the one thing I want to bring up though, which I don't know about you guys, but I really can't stand it, is The Rock is treating this like a movie or a TV show that's being filmed.
Yeah,
like it really takes me out of it. It's like you do this amazing turn, and then I think the follow up with him just dropping the mic, John Cena dropping the mic at the press conference was perfect. But then you have The Rock talking about everything and going online and talking about, I'm like, please give us some sort of like, I want to,
you do the moment and pull back the curtain. Yeah.
Right. Kind of like and to your great point, Scott, because to that, it is confusing at times. It's like, all right, so wait, Rock, are you breaking the fourth wall and going behind the curtain, or are you supposed to, and then you're going back? I don't know what you're like.
He done broke the fifth and the sixth at this damn point.
If anyone else had done this, they would be talked to, but they're not going to, because it's The Rock, and he's the, he basically is the top dog or next to the top, and the company has so much influence, so they're not going to say it, which is unfortunate because I think that takes me out of the story.
And then you need The Rock to sell this angle because you sold it like he's going to be working with The Rock. But if you notice, they advertise Cody and Cena are going to be under the same roof at the same time. Okay. Where's The Rock?
The Rock? I thought The Rock and Cena were in Brussels. Is that incorrect?
They didn't say about The Rock being
No,
there.
They didn't advertise The Rock.
I thought I heard that. Okay.
Yeah. So now you're leaving out one of the biggest plot points that was a catalyst to this turn to begin with. So what is Cena going to even go out there and say?
If anything, he could literally do this whole thing leading up to and never say a word. And go
ahead. My apologies. Go ahead.
I just had a theory that's really wackadoodle because of my soap opera background. What if he's being mind controlled by The Rock and he gets by the this and the that, and he literally, there's a moment after the whole WrestleMania to salvage him by the end of his run that he flips back to being a good guy because he was under mind control.
All right, now you're getting the soaps pretty badly there. That's a soap opera storyline, but I'm going with the guy's obsessed with getting his 17th championship. Right. And then he gets it, and then whoever beats him, that's when it snaps him out of it.
Right.
That person earned the respect.
So he snaps out of it by the end, is my point.
Yeah. Snaps out, or more than just like comes to when it comes to like, okay, this guy showed this is respect I'm showing this person, and then that's going to build him to get the fans to go behind him. I don't think he's going to be heel by the time his last match. I think this is just going into this match and then maybe SummerSlam or something like that. But before the end of December, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see him leaving as a heel.
Could you see it building up in SummerSlam to Rock versus Cena?
No, I don't think that. I'm thinking we're going to get at one point Randy Orton versus Cena. That might be a SummerSlam match. I don't know, but just because of their history.
Well,
even now that would be too soon.
Yeah, I think so too. But I was trying to fit it in with his retirement tour and flipping him back to a good guy. But maybe that isn't.
It's too much of a big moment to flip him back right away, I think.
Oh no, I know. I mean, down the line,
Yeah, he's gonna turn face. He's gonna find the magical all-colored shirt. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time.
But is he gonna shave his head? That's what I'm concerned. Like,
shave his head.
Yeah, that man got a crop circle in the back of his head. He need to.
That could be it. He could shave the back of his head because of the bald spot. So then it's Okay, can we talk about this? This was the best.
So good.
There was nothing better, in my opinion, than this. I thought Bianca Belair and Naomi in the ring on Friday Night SmackDown with the reveal that she did indeed, Naomi, attack Jade Cargill. I thought it was the most brilliant. I thought it was. They both were great. It was amazing. Do you agree, Mr. Fisherman?
Oh yeah, I think this is what Naomi's been waiting for this moment her entire career. I mean, she has not gotten a story like this where she can really dig into and kind of make it her own. And just the pull, I think she was pulling all that emotion into there, and it could have been, it could have gone very bad. It could have been very like over the top, like hokey, and people not taking it in. But they went all in, like to generate tears, real tears. You got to be doing, you're doing something. And it was just, I think, set up really great. And I thought Bianca was initially going to be part of it, but I'm glad she isn't, because this is Naomi's time, and Naomi and Jade be the focus while Bianca goes off and does her story, and then maybe revisits with Naomi later down the line. So, home run on all fronts, no doubt.
Home run. Okay, Mr. Starks, I loved it.
Okay.
You?
Okay. I guess I'm gonna be a little bit controversial right now. He had utilized the word hokey. At certain points, it was. At certain points, it was. And when it comes to programs like this, you have to be very delicate with them, with how you book them, how it looks going forward, the optics of like the baby face, the heel. And I feel like the dynamic of the baby face and the heel was respected here. And I like the shot of Bianca looking at Jade walking down the ramp. I did like that. That was good stuff. That's the stuff you want to see. But it was something that Scott said earlier about how, AEW with follow-ups. I'm going to be honest. Triple H, to me, is not really great at follow-ups. So this was actually an okay follow-up. I don't think it was great. I think it was an okay follow-up. The only thing I didn't like the most, though, I wanted to wait and see Jade to get her hands on Naomi again. It was like she got her hands on her at Chamber, and then on SmackDown, she just got her hands on her. So, like, it's like, what's the point of being invested in the match?
What's the point? Yeah.
That's the part that I agree with you. I thought it would have been better with Naomi getting away.
Right.
Like
running to an Escalade somewhere.
That satisfaction came so quickly. You're right. Then I feel like that also hurt going to WrestleMania if they are having a match. Like, totally agree with you on that point.
Because unless you're going to do something like completely cinematic with it going into WrestleMania, you just gave everybody like the payoff. The payoff is Jade getting her hands on Naomi.
Naomi's got to come back.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I agree with you there. I thought, though, like the Naomi and Bianca stuff in the ring, yes, there were tears, which I thought were great. I thought just the way that the more upset Naomi was getting as she walked out on her was great. And I thought what she said was great. And I also thought Bianca's moment in the ring, like, don't touch me. What did she say? When she was in the ring, like, it was like, get away.
That was fine.
Like,
that was fine.
Stop. And like,
but I agree with Daryl, like with the whole physicality between Naomi and Jade. I think that was kind of a miss.
Do you think, you guys, that they have also, what about this whole, is Bianca really, is Naomi, is Jade going to go after Bianca and screw up her match at WrestleMania? Is she going to be upset with her? Do you think she's upset with her because she got Naomi to be her partner while she was knocked out? And they were, is there another level to this?
No.
Happen? I don't see
pivot you could take. Yeah, I just don't think there's an extra pivot in this storyline. I feel like they've taken all of the turns that they could possibly take here. And to do that, it would make it a little bit drawn out and a little bit contrived. Right. And then people would just start to lose interest because they'd be like, okay, Jay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so what's Bianca's problem then? So they literally in the Ivo Sky and Rhea, when they all were in the ring, and they both pushed Io in the face.
I didn't like that.
That was just weird.
Like, why would you make the champion look like the little sister?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
You guys, that why I'm like, are we really done with this? Is there something with Bianca? Why is she acting like that? Because if she's the baby face, would she really shove the girl in the face? I thought that was weird.
I don't know. I think it's interesting that they put Io in this scenario. I thought it was going to be Bianca, Rhea the whole time, and you saw the electricity between the two of them. So I love Io, but I don't know. I just feels forced to have
we want Rhea and Bianca at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And could you see a world where something will change before then, that she's not going against Io? Like, what are we doing with Rhea Ripley now?
We're putting her in a triple threat. It's a triple threat.
Triple threat.
I don't like triple threats, to be honest. But here we are with that. So,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say the tread is kind of off the Rhea Ripley tire as of right now.
Yes.
I feel like they've kind of done every possible thing that they could do with her. We've seen the championship reign. We see that it hasn't been booked well. Like, that tread on that tire is kind of gone. So to kind of have it be focused on Rhea and Bianca, you're taking a risk, considering the people, like how we were talking about how the people want to see Hangman win. They want to see him be that top guy, right? The people want to cheer for Io. They do. But to make her look like a backdrop, to make her look like little sister in that segment,
I didn't like
that.
That
was not a good step in the right direction to get her over with the fans.
Right. How does that
like,
it's like, is she the little sister that we're supposed to push around? Like, what do we not care?
Yeah, and then they had her do these god awful slaps to Rhea and Bianca, and I was just like, oh no. You can't have her look like the little sister that finally fought back to her big sister. Like, then at what point, what's the point of doing the triple threat? If she's not a threat, what's the point of doing a triple threat? Like, if only two people in the match are being booked as threats, what's the point of Io even being there?
Yeah. She was shoehorned in. I mean, she's put in a bad spot, to be honest, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Scott. I thought that too. I thought she was put in a bad spot.
Like, she's the champion, but it almost hurts her being the champion at this point, because it makes her look like just being a placeholder. I hate to say it.
Well, before I let you go, we need to talk about the cage match, the steel cage match, talk about triple threats. We've got Seth Rollins, CM Punk up in the cage. What did you guys think of this match as compared to, obviously, we saw the cage match at Revolution. Obviously, this wasn't a bloody mess, but this did have the really surprise with Roman's return. So what did you guys think of the match?
They ain't gonna like what I have to say. Scott, go ahead, man.
I'm an old school guy, and I hate the fact that this cage match ended kind of into, like, I don't know. I just didn't like the distraction. Like, I liked Roman being back, and that was a great moment, but I thought that could have happened, after we saw what we had with this cage match. Like, there wasn't a reason for this to be interrupted and kind of, because I'm a fan of, like, I don't even know why there needed to be a door. Like, I like when the guys are like stuck, nobody can get in, and, like, that sort of thing. Right. That was my big point when it comes to that. Just the way it unfolded. The fans were electric, though. They loved every minute of everything going on. That was a loud crowd towards the end. They were a great crowd in general, but
they're in Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah. So they felt that energy, but
which Daryl, to our point, we're in LA and people are like,
I feel that. I feel it, man. I feel it. So, I mean, to all WWE fans in this room right now, please cover your ears. I felt like this was a nothing burger covered in nothing sauce. You have three of your supposed top stars in your company. One that he's the YMCA. Now, I don't know what his title is anymore. I don't know what he is. And you have a finish where a dude wins by being pulled out of the cage by an outside competitor. I'm going to let that one simmer.
I'm going to go have a drink while we simmer. Okay. Yeah.
So the match quality didn't really hit enough to even sell the angle at the end where Roman does interfere. If the match quality was like balls to the wall, like, well, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, the fans might have reacted even bigger to Roman returning. They would have been like, whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, you ruined this great match, Roman. How dare you, YMCA, YTC? How dare you? How dare you? But instead, it was just like, it took the wind out your sails, because you're like, here's CM Punk blown up 3 minutes into the match. Here's Seth Rollins trying to make sure his knees don't explode. And then Roman just comes in. And it's like, what are we doing here? You're setting up for a triple threat that, let's be honest, unless you're a diehard fan of any three of these gentlemen, does anybody really want to see it?
And
it has no stakes.
And that's my point to Scott's point, because Scott, you said it earlier, and we've talked about this before. We don't want a triple threat at WrestleMania. We don't want this triple threat. And the thing is, obviously, this is the key point. This is the key story point. So here's the wise man, Paul Heyman, with Punk. He owes Punk a favor. Then they're setting up this, right? Heyman's like, oh God, please don't hurt me. And, now the story is, in my understanding, we get a triple threat, and is Punk going to call in the favor to Heyman during the triple threat? And so Heyman swerves Roman, right? Isn't that the
favor? Like, I don't see the point of the favor being like
exactly.
that. I thought a favor would have been like, get me a title match, get me in the WrestleMania main event. Why would you use your favor on something that is insignificant? Like, this is a guy who wanted to main event WrestleMania and win the championship.
Scott took the words right out of my mouth. Like, what's the favor in a triple threat match with no title on the line?
No title. No, I 100% agree. It's like, what are we doing here? Because it just seemed from the camera angles and these photos that they're WWE is saying to us, here's the story. Is he going to side with Punk, or is he going to side with Heyman? But I don't see the stakes being high at all. So what's the point?
And haven't we seen the Paul Heyman Civil War thing with Solo and Roman already?
Wasn't that with also Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, we've seen this. We've literally seen this 2 times.
Paul Heyman's been in a lot of love triangles, or maybe many more than a lot of the soap stars that you
Paul Heyman's getting all the man-on-man action in WWE.
It is. I think you're right.
But I think they need to add the stip that the winner gets a title match or something to make. I mean, that won't help. Something, but
even that's perfect. The winner gets a title, something.
Gets a world title match at, I don't know, SummerSlam or something.
And so in closing, I go back to the Seth part. So are all these guys just borderline whatever? Like, nobody's really a heel, nobody's really a face, right? It's like, I don't know, who are we rooting for here? Are they all faces? Are they all borderline? I don't know.
Mike, I've gone on the record on my show saying this is the worst road to WrestleMania I've ever seen, and I've been watching wrestling for 30 plus years. You don't know who baby faces are. You don't know who heels are. And the feuds where you do, it's just like they're just throwing stuff out there to see what sticks. It seems like Triple H is just flying by the seat of his pants going into this WrestleMania, because what other defined matches outside of like top of the card feuds do we have going into this show that you know of?
Right.
I'll let that one simmer too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about being the worst build, because there's been some bad ones, and I'll let the road, because we're still a little bit of ways away, so I'm gonna see how much, because there's been times where we only had a couple weeks going into a show, so we'll see how things shake out. But it's definitely questionable as far as a lot of the matches, and it's indicative too of I don't know Vegas is a, I know there's a lot of tickets sold, but it might be the ticket prices, but I'm not feeling the same sort of like sellout vibe, immediately sellout sort of thing that they've gotten before, like WrestleMania last year. And that might have been just because, it's WrestleMania 40, but it could have been the story that they're so invested in the story. Is Cena versus Cody now, is with Cena heel, moving that many tickets going on as they hope? That's the question.
So do you guys see a night one being this whatever Roman thing is going to be with Punk and Seth, and night, like, what's the
stakes? How do you sell that? Like, at this
rate,
at this rate,
power of the three guys. That's what they're counting on. Just the three guys in the ring are big talents, and you want to just see them wrestle. That's their selling point.
But I'm not trying to do whataboutism, but like in year one in AEW, when they were putting on showcase matches, you had Juventud Guerrera randomly wrestling, like, you know what I'm saying, a top talent on the card. You had WWE fans going, what's the story? Where's the story in this match? So, and when AEW fans were saying, hey, they're just putting the best in-ring talents out there to just display their talent, it was, no, that's no excuse. You still need stories.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Scott. I can't put that one in the ATM and cash it out, bro.
I was gonna say,
I mean, they got a couple weeks now to kind of to win you over. That's all I got to say. It's not like WrestleMania's next week. So,
but we're also in a different time because all of these guys, Seth, Punk, Roman, they've all done questionable, horrible. Like people are rooting for each one of them. Like Seth they love it, right? Like who are they hating on?
Another thing I'm thinking about is what would have happened if they went with Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley? Does that come off as more of a main event for a WrestleMania? No. Okay. But I'm just thinking of the women's matches, like Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. That hasn't really done much for me. As after the winners initially, I was like, oh, this is going to be great on paper, but the way it's been playing out, I haven't been, they're not getting me excited.
Right, and now, and to your point too, that's a good point. I didn't like Charlotte all of a sudden throwing her weight around like I'm the queen. So now in this regard, we're making her the heel.
Wait, you mean her? Wait, Mike, you mean her whole career?
I mean, when she
like, what are we talking about? You mean her entire career?
I know. I was just saying, like,
okay, all right.
But I just thought it was funny that they were making this whole bit. You were hearing all this talk that this Charlotte Flair is going to be a whole new direction for a character, a whole overhaul. Yeah. I don't know, a darker character. I don't know what they were talking about, but when she came back, I was like, this is just Charlotte Flair that we've known.
Yeah, they had her like jogging in cornfields and all that shit.
On a yacht, like below deck, all this other. Yeah, I think you were expecting something different, and then you have Tiffany Stratton, who I think ever since she cashed in has kind of cooled off, which is really sad.
Yes,
so that's the women's matches at WrestleMania going in. It's sad that one of those you would really want to be a main event, and it's just not hitting this year.
And are you guys feeling the Gunther Jey Uso? What are you feeling about that? Anything?
I mean, it's interesting because Jay's like that, moving all this merch, hottest, talent, fans loving him, and then him getting this opportunity. And that's another one that I like, you're not feeling like you're hoping that he gets the win, but it's just not, is that a WrestleMania main event too? It's not, I don't know. There's some, like you're saying, it's like, when you're looking at it, it's like the excitement isn't.
There's something missing.
Yeah, there's something.
It won't be found though, because Gunther doesn't have the mic skills to find it, and Jey Uso doesn't have the mic skills to find it, and he doesn't. And controversial opinion, WWE fans cover years again. He doesn't have the in-ring skill to find it.
Thank you. I have to piggyback on that. That's what I'm feeling with Jey Uso. I don't think he's that great in the ring.
You're putting it very nicely. You're being extremely nice.
I don't know. I mean, I've definitely, he has a really, the connection to the audience, like you don't have to be
it's
like
amazing.
Yeah. I just think the fans love him so much that I think maybe Saturday night's main event would have been, I don't know, could have that been in the play? Do you think they waited too soon? Like, do you think he should get the title at this point? I don't know.
That shouldn't have even happened. If they wanted to build to this properly and that Jey Uso Rumble win properly, that Saturday night's main event match wouldn't have even happened.
Yeah, I think I agree. It should have been
we've already
kind of watered down the match.
Yeah. Exactly. Beforehand. And who does that fall upon? I just want to make sure we all agree on this.
Tony Khan, damn it.
That's what everybody says. Everybody wants to blame him for something, but who does that fall upon? I'll be the person to say it. I don't care about media credentials, none of that. It falls on Triple H. Everything that we're saying that seems to be a failure going into WrestleMania falls on him. Of course, you have to put some accountability on the talents or lack thereof in Jey Uso's case. But you have to.
Damn, you have a thing against him.
Hey, Mike told me I could be me.
For you. No heat for you.
So, I mean, look, I don't care for a 10-year-old catchphrase that was used on a now dead social media platform called Vine. But yeah, I don't care for it. I'm sorry. If you want to eat yeet shirt, my apologies. I just don't care for it. But no,
the watered down thing is true. We already saw it.
Yeah. And almost every matchup he's watered down except for Tiffany and Charlotte. But the problem is, like Scott said, you had this whole thing where it seemed like Charlotte was going to come back reinvented, and she came back Charlotte. And then you cooled off Tiffany Stratton by having her freaking look like a jobber up until she cashed in. And then when she cashed in, it was just kind of like, okay, now what?
And
there was no rebuttal. There was no
Bailey
rebuttal
in this. Bailey was such a big part of WrestleMania last year. What is she doing this year? It's like,
I'll never forget, like, Bailey, we were in the press box and everybody was so excited that Bailey was winning. They're all behind her. And now, like, it's a year later and people are like, we have nothing to do for Bailey. They have no
She's
story.
too busy being a role model, bro.
Yeah.
No, but Bailey, man, she's Antarctica right now. They cooled her off to a very severe degree. And I mean, what can you say? Again, if all of that stuff falls on the booking.
You look at NXT, there's a rhyme and reason for everything. There's like with the women, I mean, there's a lot of balance, I guess. And with on, you know, just the fact that The Rock took up that much time that they had to cancel a women's match. I mean, that's very telling of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate too, because, you know, I do enjoy the shows though. I think there's, you know, there were a lot worse years ago. So, you know, they have the talent and, you know, they prove they can do it, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Like you said, this road is interesting. The good news is we do have a little bit extra time that we normally don't have when it comes to WrestleMania. So,
all right, Daryl, before we wrap, will you please tell everybody where we can find your show? So everybody knows. Tell us all. So
okay. Well, you know, Mr. Starks, you can find me and my co-host Big Dub over on Covalent TV. That is spelled Covalent TV. If you don't know how to spell TV, don't watch our show because you might be too stupid to watch it. All right. And then on all social media platforms, we are at the Covalent TV. So much love to all of y'all, man. Show up, show out, man. Be a part of the Truth Seekers, man. We don't play around over there. All right. So much love.
Your co-host is, what's his name?
His name is Werner, but everybody calls him Big Dub. You know,
Big Dub, and Big Dub's in Michigan.
Yes, Grand Rapids.
Wow.
Well, just so everybody knows how everybody's spread out. He's in Grand Rapids. So you two do a show multiple times a week?
Yeah, and I teleport there sometimes. You know, I get my Dragon Ball Z on. I just put my two fingers up to my head. No, we do it virtually just like this. we do it virtually just like this. We rock it out. All the people over there show love, man. So if you want to come over, watch a show, feel free. It's a little more explicit, but you know what? You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a good time.
They're the AEW. We're the PG. Your guys are the TV portion.
There's nothing wrong with a mother frick every now and again, you know.
There's no swear jar over there.
Scott, you're at TV Insider, and where should we?
You can follow me on SM Fishman, and also become more active on my Facebook page. So you can just search my name on Facebook, and that's most of where you can see a lot of my work. So.
Do you have anything coming up that we should be on the lookout for with a wrestling interview?
So I did just have one with, I don't know if you guys saw, Mark Mero had a book come out recently out of nowhere. So he's been doing some incredible things in the last decade, 18 years or so, with it comes to like talking about bullying, those facing abuse, you know, all these alcohol abuse, substance abuse things. And he's been going to schools all across the world. And he's kind of built the second career for himself. So it's a pretty inspiring story. But beyond that, him getting the chance to kind of reflect on his career, you know, his marriage to Rena Mero, like all that or other stuff. So that we had a chance to catch up on that. And hopefully next week I'll have something fun, especially if you're a WCW fan. So, you know, it hasn't kind of fully evolved yet, but check that out if it does. Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say about Daryl. Do you remember Daryl? I'm sure you do. So we were in the press conference, and Swerve Strickland was finished, and he literally comes over to Daryl, and like, hey man, it was like, right? Didn't he like say, I watch your show or something?
Yeah, he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he just basically, you know, shouts out to all of the Roman Reigns YMCA YTC fans. He acknowledged me, and he basically said Covalent TV and show love, and kind of gave the angels in the outfield winking the gun. It was a cool moment. It was a cool moment. Shout out to you, Swerve. Salute to you, man.
It was great. And lastly, one other last thing. So I had so much fun with Daryl at Revolution. Who was the woman singer?
Who was the woman? Oh, Paula Deanna's old fine self. Woo!
All of a sudden, he's like, "This is Paula Boom." Like, what are you talking about?
She was like a little trendy mid 2000s singer, you know, back when Yeet was popular. But
out with her. Yeah.
You know what? You see, y'all gonna get me started. Y'all don't need to know everything, okay? Y'all come over to my show and get that information. I wanted to spend a little more time with her. I ain't gonna lie to you.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was really insightful, and your opinions are fantastic. And there was a lot to go over that's happened in the last week. And now we'll have to see what happens coming up after this Monday Night Raw in Belgium.
We'll get some waffles, you know.
Listen how funny that sounded.
What time? So what time are we all watching? 3
o'clock is what in my time. That's what time it's supposed to be on.
So noon my time.
Yep. Good old Brussels.
Good old Brussels. All right. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back. Have a great night. Bye, everybody.